we're either not allowed to go inside or we're afraid to go inside. And clearly we're not over that, but I really think we're getting close to being over that. I know he's booking bands inside. There's some days when there's a band outside to start the afternoon, and then there's a band inside later on. So he wouldn't be booking bands inside if his customers were afraid to go in. I'm surprised that none of the neighbors came.
Me too.
I assume that they were notified on this, the same as the neighbors around 75th and Beloit came out. But, I mean, there's fewer direct neighbors, but they have all complained to us before with a petition and some in person. And I hate to think that they're just saying, well, we complained and let it go. You know, they think we've given up on them. Okay, I still do get an occasional email. It's really right. That apartment building right there is right there. I mean, and it's loud. So, I'm ready to say, Paulie can keep doing his music live inside, but we can be done in the parking lot. You know, that would be my thoughts on it.
Alderman Weigel's exactly right. Mr. Chair, if I may, I wasn't recognized.
Fine.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly. This is looking for a permanent extension of the temporary COVID rules that we allowed to our licensed establishments. What I put myself, what if I lived a block away even? I would be dead set against this. Having something comparable to a church festival atmosphere every night of the week.
At least every weekend.
If not more, Wednesdays, Mondays.
Yeah,
Yeah, my vote is a strong no on this.
mine would be too. Is there a motion on
I
item
th-
56?
Mr. Chair, based on those arguments, I don't think if there was so many complaints, it would be one thing.
You're
But
moving to what?
to Alderman Weigel's point, they have come out many times last year, this year, emails, petition after petition. So I would make a motion to deny.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, it's denied. Item 57 is an ordinance to adopt parking restrictions on the north side of Lapham from 92nd to 100 feet west of 92nd.
I move approval.
Second.
Any
S-
discussion?
This is my district, but I
Yeah.
actually wasn't aware of this. I wasn't able to connect with Suzette. Is there a house right there? I mean, I know the corner is really tight, which when some of the cars or a big truck come by, when they're both parked there, having to come out on 92nd is tough to see. So is the point of it so that way they're not right up against the curb, trying to see cross traffic on 92nd Street? Because I know we've talked about that being an issue in the past.
Unfortunately, I don't have the backstory of this.
Why don't we
specific-
hold this,
Yeah,
send it to engineering for a recommendation from engineering, have them take a look at it.
Then I withdraw my motion for approval.
We'll hold this for further input from engineering department. And then item 58 is an ordinance to adopt state standards for automatic fire sprinkler systems.
Move approval.
Second.
Mr. Chief.
You're good.
All right, so before you, you have a motion to change our existing municipal fire code. So years ago, we had our own unique fire code that was in some ways more restrictive than what the state code was, and that was allowable under state law. Probably, I don't know, 8, 9 years ago, the state passed what's called Act 270, basically saying that a municipality can't have a more strict fire code than what the state has approved, which is NFPA 1 and the International Building Code in our state. Prior to being the chief, I was the fire prevention chief, and I, at that time, enforced the state code. However, our municipal code never was edited to reflect what the state code read. And that was fine because we enforced the state code. We now have a new fire marshal. It's been 2 since I was the fire prevention chief, and we have a unique situation now with one of the businesses in our city that is looking to expand. And depending on how you read our code as drafted, it can be a bit confusing, and it's led to some disagreement in the fire administration building. So I'm proposing that we clean that up by basically striking the fire sprinkler section of our code as written and just clearly adopting the state code. However, in talking with the prevention guys, there is one modification that I'd like to make to that. City attorney has helped me draft it. But basically, so right now, under state code and all national codes, it says if you remodel more than 50% of your building, new fire codes would kick in. Now, the sticking point I have on that is, well, what if I, this year remodel 49% of my building, and next year another 49%, or even 2 more percent, pushing you past that 50% threshold. So we have current verbiage in our code, and I'd like to keep this one sentence just saying that basically it's a cumulative 50% from the time that the code is passed. So in our case, that would be 2013. So if you were to do 10% a year, after 6 years, you pass that 50%, you would be forced to adopt the most. I don't believe it would apply in their case. But it would stop anybody from backdooring the system and saying, okay, a year from now, I'm going to do half, and the next year I'm going to do another half. So I'll read the sentence as drafted by the city attorney. It's on my phone, so it's tiny. So section 16 of the code would say, if any state or local code uses a percentage of work area within a floor area to determine whether an automatic fire sprinkler system is required in an existing building, the percentage shall be computed by adding all work areas since May 1st of 2013 and comparing that cumulative work total to floor area. So that's my one proposed amendment.
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Weigel.
I guess I understand, and I support this in concept. I'm just wondering why we're just hearing this right now. I'm just looking, I didn't see any emails on this. I also thought we had some 1992 rule. You guys, do you remember, Colleen? The local ordinance was from 92. So, and I guess we still have the question of definition of remodel an area, which I think is not
Yeah.
for this forum.
Correct.
Okay, but I guess I understand, yeah, certainly it does beg the question, well, I'm doing 10% a year, I can do the whole place in 10 years.
Right.
Clearly if we're gonna have that percentage rule, but we're gonna have to find out exactly what the definition of remodel means. If I were to put in new carpeting in this room, is that remodeling? Am I remodeling the entire room when I put carpeting in?
Right.
You would not, let's see here. Because Kale and I talked about this earlier. I'm just
Or,
trying to
yeah,
see
new
how we
lights
worked
and new
around this.
floors, is that?
By painting all the walls, to a lay person, yeah, I remodeled my bathroom. Hung new curtains up, I painted the walls.
That's how my remodeling jobs go.
And again, that's not a discussion for this forum. I'm in favor. I guess I'm in favor of this. I think we have one of the people going to be impacted by this here.
I do have a question. The cumulative effect, how does that work when there's a commercial space that may have a tenant and then 2 years later has a different tenant? Average, tenant improvement for first-time business can be $40,000, $50,000. How many times are you gonna have a tenant turnover before it's gonna prevent businesses from coming in?
Yeah, because it's not based on ownership; it's on the property itself.
Right.
Do we want to tie this to ownership? Because what we're trying to prevent here is me as an owner doing
Skirting the
10% a year,
system.
10% a year, 10% a year. Do we reset the clock, so to speak, with a new tenant?
I would think that, so let's say you own this is a building, and you're gonna remodel that wall, and that wall adds up to 10%. And 5 years from now, you're remodeling that same wall. That's not a new 10%, that is the same existing 10%, you're just remodeling the
Is it?
same area, I guess.
Is it-
That's how I would look at it.
Is that how an architect would look at it?
And is that how the planning commission or the building inspection department's gonna
Look at it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what we need to know.
Yeah, there's a lot of things here. I'd like to get this thing passed tonight, because we have at least one business owner paying rent on a property that they want to be able to use.
Right. Why don't we pass this tonight, come up with the amendment that's gonna satisfy the questions the committee has, and then submit that for the next meeting, and we can pass that the next meeting, the amendment.
All right, as long as I have your word, that at least we're on the same page as to what we're trying to get to
We're on the
here.
same page.
Yeah.
But again, if the idea is we're trying to prevent a property owner from skirting the rule, Does it reset? I mean, that's something I think we want to talk about. Does
For
it
sure.
reset when the property gets sold? Well, that could be a way for the property owner to
Right.
get around it. Yeah, I'm renting it to, rented it to my niece, and now I'm renting it to my cousin, and, you know,
Usage, different usage from a
Again, that's
a
a-
music store to a
Yeah.
laundromat.
that's a discussion we should be having,
Yes.
but we're just, this is the first I've heard of this, it's just now.
Yeah.
So,
If I may, my name's Doug Vollen, I've been in construction for 33 years. I have seen having, small nuances like what you're proposing cause great problems in planning and and project owners being able to move forward, because all of a sudden they've hit, for lack of a better term, the rev limiter before it triggers something that breaks the budget, and then they can't do it. My 2 cents worth, I think if there's more than 50% remodel on the entire building at any one time, that would be sufficient. I think that realistically is where that threshold should be.
yeah, I guess I appreciate your input. I think that as a business owner, you know, I know what I would do. Oh, man, I don't want to sprinkle my building. It's not just the plumbing, it's the hole in the street, you know? And I think we should.
9 one year and 2 the next.
Yeah,
Agreed.
yeah. So I think with a change of ownership or a change of use or something, but again,
Right.
that's, we can hammer that out later, I think.
Right, I think so.
Okay.
So look to do a motion to approve this, and then at another time, visit the precise language we wanna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we,
Lay
do
out
we have a
within the
regular
ordinance.
meeting scheduled for this
Yeah.
committee at all? Not a recess meeting?
Oh,
Because I think it's gonna be worth a discussion and some input from building.
No, but we can do that. Steve,
Sure, yeah, we can set some up.
Yeah.
yeah, maybe talk to Patrick, see if he has anything that.
Okay.
That needs to come before us,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's worth a
That's
discussion.
Good,
yeah.
good input. Okay, it's been moved and seconded for passage. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
All right.